Okay, this is my first try at Loom. So, I'm recording and you should be able to see my screen right now. Alright, what I'm going to go over is the to what extent prompt and answers. So, I have an example here. Thanks, Eliud, for volunteering for us to look at your work right here. Now, keep in mind when you're doing to what extent. To what extent means how much impact. Well, to what extent? Like, what was the damage? What was the effort? What was the impact? How much did that affect this? Or how much did that influence that happening? So think about that when you're writing your questions. So what we're looking at here is the three prompts. One on women's suffrage, one on progressive era reforms, one on economic reform. And I really like that these were titled Prompt C, Economic Reform. So, in this first one, let's look at this, women's suffrage. To what extent did tragedies affect regulations in factories? And as you guys remember, Mr. Slimmer had a stamp that said too vague. Well, this is a little vague because tragedies, when it comes to women's suffrage, what are we talking about here? It needs to be more specific. So a tragedy is, to what effect were, accidental deaths influence on regulations in factories? Or I know that these are going to be shirtwaist factory. So the question itself, is it something that you would see on an IB exam or on an AP exam? When you read it out loud to yourself or to someone else, do they know exactly how to answer it? So if the question is not very specific, then the answer is not going to be very specific. And that's what historical writing is all about. So right here, the tragedy of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in 1911 led to regulations, factories being passed by Congress. A little word weirdness, but that can be fixed. Okay? So immediately, this is good. Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in 1911. We know where it happened. We know when it happened. We know it was a tragedy. And this is really going to be kind of your explanation. This tragedy led to regulations being passed by Congress. Now, what your evidence would be, though, is what is the name of the legislation that was passed by Congress? Or what were a newspaper article. If 146 people died like this, there's going to be a primary document, isn't there? There's going to be a newspaper article. There's going to be magazine, cover photograph or something. Okay, so that can be your primary source if you needed one. But we have the place, we have the year, we have everything. Now it's just a matter of doing your components. So I'm going to be grading you on components right now. Later we'll get to content and component. So component means that I have a claim, I have evidence, and I have an explanation. So the claim is, well, this tragedy led to Congress passing laws that will regulate factories. Well, I want to know what regulations are they. Safety, do they have to install fire escapes? Did they have to put fire extinguishers? Did people have to go through training? What was the law? So find out what that law was and add that in there, and that can be your evidence. This is a good explanation. Okay, it's a good claim. So I'm going to grade you. You can get a point for, check this out. Ooh, I can show you the rubric. I can move this over. So these are components. You're asked to do a question, which is written prompt, a claim, evidence, and an explanation. All for part A. 4 for part B, and 4 for part C. So if you get all your components in there, you're going to be off to a good start. We're going to do component writing a lot. And so get used to it. All right. So I'm going to skip down right here. Hopefully that explained a lot. This is probably my favorite or the best one out of the three. To what extent were muckrakers able to influence economic reform? Okay, it's pretty good. All I would add to that is during the progressive era or something like that. So muckrakers, as you know, were the journalists, authors during this time period who exposed things in society, in the economy, and brought attention to them. So most notable probably being The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, but there are other ones, like the publication of History of the Standard Oil Company in 1904. Okay, so what is the claim? Well, it exposed unethical business practices used by John Rockefeller. Okay, that's pretty much setting the table right there. So this led to Supreme Court decision in 1911 to break up the Standard Oil Company into smaller companies. So what is my evidence? Well, my evidence is going to be they used the Clayton Act, they used the Sherman Antitrust Act, or one of those as the law that was able them to constitutionally be able to destroy a company. So that's a pretty big thing, is that our Constitution would allow our courts to do something like that. Imagine your parents' business being shut down because it's a monopoly. You would need some pretty good law and good lawyers to do that. So this decision to break up Standard Oil Company brought economic opportunities because the oil industry will no longer be a monopoly. That could be a little bit more specific, but it's pretty good. So this one, all of them have the components there. They just need to be rearranged a little bit better. And that's when we'll get to your content writing. So hopefully that helps. A little bit long video, but I do like this new tool that I have. Ooh, look at this, I can draw. So I can do red. Shout out to Slimmer. Vague. True. Vague. Okay, sorry about that. Now I don't know how to... Oh, it went away. That's cool. Okay, so anyways, my first try on Loom. Some of you, probably the first time you've ever heard my voice. But hope that helps. And today, you're going to have to do the other 3 that you did not choose. And then tomorrow, you're going to get a test. Multiple choice over everything. So, hope you have a great day. Email me try to message me through Canvas. I answer those the quickest. All right, have a great day. Look forward to seeing your stuff on Canvas.